Hi, I'm David Partika, and I created CSS Burner as a rapid optimization tool for CSS. Now today I'm going to show you one of the functions within the statistical analysis feature of CSS Burner. And this one, which I haven't done a video on yet, is going to be for the number of HTTP requests that are required by a style sheet for proper rendering and proper functioning of all the rules. So by an HTTP request, this is, for example, an image on an external server that has its own URL that, say, for a background image, for the background image to actually be rendered, this image on the external server needs to be grabbed by an HTTP request. So these aren't too common within style sheets, but I'm going to analyze a couple of style sheets today, and I'm going to see what kind of information they give. So here is one style sheet, which was a publicly available style sheet from USA Today. If you go to their page, so you can't see it on your screen, but here we go with the analysis. And what this graph is telling me is that there are 9 HTTP or HTTPS requests that are made, in this case, by properties. We see the cursor here at the properties. So they're made by properties, most likely background or background image. The URL function is generally the origin of this. And these requests had returned a 200 status, which means that they were okay. Now, the way that I designed this function was, first of all, I separated the origin of the requests. So at import rules, at namespace, at namespace will reference external namespaces, like, for example, SVG namespace. Those will be separated from the properties. So properties that are making HTTP requests. And maybe in a future version of this, or in a more advanced version, what I could do is separate the properties into, are they coming, with a stacked bar graph, are they coming from background or background image or whatever via the URL function. So, so we see for this style sheet, there are 9 requests and they all return 200. They're all done by properties. And this is one way that this function now differentiates it from what Google Chrome developer tools can do. With the developer tools, you'll get requests, but you don't know where the request is coming from the style sheet. And my function can separate, are these from at rules, like at import, or are they from properties? And like I said, in future versions, which properties? But right now, this USA Today style sheet, 9 requests. Let's do one more. Let's analyze the style sheet for, let's say, and you can't see this on your screen. Let's try Marvel Comics. Let's see how that goes. Oh, nice. Here we go. Perfect. This is exactly what I was looking for. So for the style sheet, which again is publicly available, the URL, for that style sheet, just analyzing it, we see that 22 properties made, or there were 22 requests made by various properties, and these are unique requests. So for example, if a background image, a URL function, is requesting the same URL 10 times, that only counts as 1 because of caching. So I made sure that I counted for that in the code. And so they all return 200 status. And then, like I said before, at rules. So this is from either at import or at namespace. There was one occurrence of this. The reason that I merged these into one is because I also have allowances for if the request does not return 200. So if the request returns a 301, which is a redirect, or a 404, which is a not found, or I think even I have a 400, which is a bad request, then these will be separate bars. So I had to make sure to give enough room to the graph. So that's why I combined the at rules import and namespace into one, but we see that there is one request. It's a 200 status, which was returned by this particular style sheet. And so this is how you can use this function to your advantage. You can see how many requests are made, because remember, HTTP requests are expensive. This is the whole point of this function. These requests are expensive, they take time, and time is not the friend of the web developer. Let's remember that. Time is not our friend. Every extra fraction of a second that the end user has to wait is potentially a lost customer, is a disgruntled user that maybe doesn't return anymore because your site is, quote, too slow. So you could get a sense for how heavy the number of requests are, and maybe if you might want to think about some other alternative, for example, bringing some of these images in-house on your own server. So anyway, this is how this function can work for you. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the Optimized CSS channel already, please do so. And look for some more of these strategy videos in the not so distant future.